Hi, today we are going to talk about clipping. So, when you hear somebody talk about clipping the highlights and shadows in Lightroom, basically what that means is a lot of times when photographers shoot, if there is a part of the image that is blown out, you'll hear that term, or a part of the image that is just so dark that it looks almost black. It just is referred to as clipping, and that just means that Lightroom cannot detect what colors are there. So because it's so blown out or because it's so dark, Lightroom can't even figure out what colors are supposed to be there. So it's just blank. It's either all black or all white. I know that someone could explain that so much better than me. Those are just layman terms, kind of my way of explaining it to you. If you're really curious about it, you can definitely Google it. But the purpose of this video is to show you how you can tell quickly and easily, of course, because I'm all about shortcuts, if you have clipping either in your highlights or shadows in an image, just with the click of a button. So when I look at this image, it looks like perfection to my eye. Absolutely love it. But there is a lot of white. So I just want to check real quickly that I don't have blown out or, really hot highlight spots on this image. So I'm just going to hit the J key. When you hit the J key, it brings up the clipping kind of overlay. And when you see red, it means that there are highlights. When you see blue, it means that there are dark, dark, dark shadows where Lightroom can't pick up the colors. So if these highlights are bothering me, I could quickly come in here, and I probably don't want to bring the exposure down because I love the exposure on their skin, but I could bring the highlights down. And you see as I bring those highlights down, the clipping occurs, which now disappears, which now tells me these aren't as blown out or aren't blown out. Same thing with the shadows. If you have a part of an image that is just so dark, Lightroom is saying, what colors are supposed to be there? You could come in and you could lift the shadows and it takes away that blue. Now it doesn't really bother me in this image. But again, if it's bothering you, that's something that you can do. And as you go through, if you can hit the J key again and take that off so it's not distracting to you, or you can actually just edit with the J key pressed, and then every image you come across, you can see if there is clipping. And you will know, you know what, that's maybe a little bit too much. Let's highlight those shadows a little bit and get rid of some of that dark, dark, dark part of the image. Let's see if I can find one. So right now I'm just kind of going through here and I've got the J key pressed so that if there are any highlights or lowlights, it's going to show up on my image. So you can see the highlights here in this image. Again, if you wanted to bring those down, you just bring your highlight slider to the left. So, and if you want to get out of the clipping mode, so you don't want to see the clipping overlays, you just hit that J key again. So I don't typically edit with the J key pressed, but I will press it sometimes just super quickly just to make sure there aren't blown out parts on an image, mainly the bride's dress. I never want to blow out the details of a bride's dress when I'm editing. So right now I'm clicking the J key on this image and it's so perfectly exposed. You're not seeing any blue or any red clipping overlays. So anyway, try that. If you're wondering if there are parts of an image that are too dark or too blown out, hit that J key and the clipping overlay or clipping mask will come up. Red means that those are highlights or blown out areas, and the blue means that they're super dark areas and you might want to bump your shadows. If you see the red, you might want to bump down your highlights. I hope that helps. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next, and I'll try to make that happen. Subscribe to my YouTube channel where I put out Lightroom tips, tricks, hacks, and shortcuts every week. Until next time, happy editing.